This is your AEW Double or Nothing 2025 breakdown, predictions, and just kind of running through what potential surprises could be, what have you. I'm the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling. We're about to break down this card like a shotgun, so let's talk about it. This Sunday, May the 25th at the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. I believe this, I guess with the exception of the couple of Double or Nothings that they had at Daly's Place, that this is the first time that AEW Double or Nothing is taking place outside of Las Vegas. So this is interesting here. I think they're building their buzz around this card. This card has 6 matches officially announced. I believe you could potentially get 3 or 4 more matches announced after that, but we're going to just talk about the matches that have currently been announced as of this recording, which is on Tuesday, May the 20th. So we're going to break it down like a shotgun. Let's get into it. For the singles AEW Women's World Championship, Mina Shirakawa, who made her triumphant return and won a number 1 contenders match, challenges champion Timeless Toni Storm. This is an interesting one because I think for a while we have been trying to figure out where the future is for Mariah. It's gonna be Mariah May. We have no idea where she's at. She's been MIA ever since she lost that the final ending match that she had with Toni Storm, the conclusion to their storied and very intriguing and popular feud that they had in AEW. So ever since then, the rumor mill has been going rampant with wondering where Mariah May is. Now, considering that Mariah May had just announced that her boyfriend is currently an AEW superstar as Nick Wayne, that led a lot to believe that it's potential for Mariah May to stick around in the AEW, and that makes total sense to me. I mean, why would you leave your partner and go work for a competitor when you got your man and you got your friend in Mina Shirakawa, and you had a lot of momentum coming off of this big feud? I think twice in a row, though, they've dropped the ball with Mariah May, where coming off of her AEW Women's Championship run, when she beat Toni Storm, and in England, they didn't really follow up appropriately, in my opinion. They kind of left her in limbo, kind of working like the Collision and stuff like that, and like not being shown prominently displayed on the Dynamite, and I think that left a lot of loss in the momentum. Things picked back up when Toni Storm came back and she did the whole amnesia angle, but then once Toni Storm won and Mariah May got her comeuppance, she disappeared again, thus killing a lot more momentum. She could have come back with a vengeance. She could have been doing vignettes, or working with Mina Shirakawa. So, it doesn't show a lot of promise that she hasn't been shown. It actually shows that either they don't have anything planned for her, they're planning for something, or she may be on her way out. Another thing to be on the lookout for is the idol killer, Tekla. I think her name is Tekla, from the Stardom promotion, is rumored to be signed with the AEW. During a lot of Toni Storm's matches, and a lot of the women's matches, I believe as well, if you look on the top left-hand corner of the television screen, you see a digital spider that comes down and then disappears. That is code for Tekla, the idol killer. I hope I'm saying her name right as well, because I've watched a lot of Stardom, but it has been without sound, so I hope that I am pronouncing that name correctly. I don't think I've really even heard anybody say that name out loud. I've only seen it written, so it's either Tekla or something like that. She is highly regarded, comes from a stable that included Julia at one point in the Stardom promotion, so she could be an intriguing addition to the AEW. What better way to show up than during this match or at the conclusion of this match? So I would also keep your eyes out for her. Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa have a very storied history. They fought over Mariah May, and then they all joined up together in kind of this this three-way group or whatever. I'm trying to work around that. But, so they do have some history there, and I think I would be interested in seeing this match. I am going to go with Toni Storm. I believe that she's going to win this. I think Mina Shirakawa coming back, I believe they're going to keep the momentum going with her, and they're going to give her a substantial push since signing with AEW. I just don't know if this is the right time right now to give Mina Shirakawa a win over Toni Storm with such excitement surrounding the All-In event where we could potentially see Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné, or Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter, but we'll get to that later on. So as far as the match goes, I'm going to go with Timeless Toni Storm, and like I said earlier, keep your eyes out for Mariah May or Tekla to potentially make her debut, so keep your eyes on that. In a stretcher match, which is crazy that they already go for a stretcher match, Mark Briscoe is going to battle Ricochet. Now, these two have been colliding in multi-man matches for about a month now in AEW. Ricochet working with the Bucks, and Mark Briscoe working with his conglomeration. So this has been, I guess, a little bit of a build-up. I don't know if it warrants a stretcher match. I think that's a little excessive, but I think there can be some excitement that comes from this match. Remember, you have to strap your opponent. If they're going by the old school rules, you have to strap your opponent to the stretcher in order to win. You have to render him useless in order to do that. Now, Mark Briscoe, to me, he kind of reminds me of, he's like a throwback to me now that he is without brother Jay Briscoe, rest in peace. He is left as a singles star, and I think that utilizing the ability for him to be beloved by the fans, kind of a Mick Foley type of a character, but also kind of like a Jey Uso as well. He's on his own now. He's doing things his own way. I believe Jay Briscoe, his brother, was more of the standout in singles competition. I believe Jay Briscoe won singles championship gold. I'm not sure if Mark Briscoe won it outside of AEW / Ring of Honor in this current iteration, but I know that Jay was really the standout in the singles side there. This is an opportunity for Mark Briscoe to really step out and become his own man. As far as this match with Ricochet goes, Ricochet has got a lot of irons in the furnace. He's building a lot of feuds outside of this particular rivalry that he has with Mark Briscoe. Because of that, I am going to go with Ricochet to get the win here. I believe there's going to be some sort of nefarious activity that goes on in order to get Ricochet the win, because they're building up this whole weasel kind of a gimmick for Ricochet that I believe is working to an extent, especially in the ring. Maybe not so much on social media. I mean, the guy's getting rocked on social media, right? He's getting shots from the ceiling, okay? So not so much maybe on social media is it working, but I do believe in the ring, and when he does cut promos, the AEW audience understands the assignment, they see the vision, and they are helping aid in the momentum for Ricochet in that regard. Because of that, and because of the way that this match has been put together, I really feel like they're going to give Ricochet a lot of momentum going into All In, and that's who I see coming out as the winner. So I'm going with Ricochet in that. Tag team match, Daniel Garcia teams up with the legend Nigel McGuinness to battle FTR, who will have Stokely Hathaway in their corner. This match was really put together randomly. I didn't watch a whole lot of Collision in the build-up to this, but this really kind of, I mean, in my opinion, this came out of nowhere. I understand that there was, FTR had some beef with Tony Schiavone, and they were sending him letters and confronting him on commentary about some of the, about the way that he handled a certain change in attitude from the FTR. It's very similar to what was going on with Gunther and Michael Cole. And so Nigel McGuinness, in the same vein as Pat McAfee, decided to stand up for his his colleague in commentary in Tony Schiavone and make an effort to thwart some sort of an attack from FTR. That led to Daniel Garcia also being involved through a history that he's had with FTR and his partnership with Daddy Magic, the 2.0 tag team, Daddy Magic and Angelo Parker or Cool Hand Ange or whatever, right? So there was a little bit of a rivalry that stemmed from that. So because of that, you get now FTR against Nigel and Daniel Garcia. I don't believe that they're going to crush this newly formed, newly adjusted FTR with Stokely Hathaway. I believe they're going to continue that going into All In. I also believe that it's good for the tag team division for them to have FTR get a couple more wins, gain their momentum to eventually go after the tag titles with Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. So because of that, I am going to go with FTR to win here. Speaking of Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, they're going to defend their AEW World Tag Team titles against the Sons of Texas, Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, who are also, I believe, the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions and the Ring of Honor Six-Man Tag Team Champions. So they had an opportunity to do a tag where both titles were on the line, or all four titles were on the line, the ROH Tag Team Championships and the AEW Tag Team Championships. However, they're just going to go with the AEW Tag Team Championships here currently. Now, if you paid attention to a video that I had done previously on MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, I theorized that Hammerstone and Wardlow would make a good pairing with MJF. I also saw somewhere that someone was saying Giovanni Vinci would work with MJF, although I think that's a long shot, and I don't see that really happening. For one, I don't know who you would pair with Giovanni Vinci to make that work. I don't understand how you would thread the history with Giovanni Vinci and MJF together. The only thing that I can see working is if FTR and MJF reunite, or if they get Wardlow and Hammerstone. Now, a part of me believes that there could be some hijinks involved with MJF that costs the Hurt Syndicate the champions. However, the way that they have stretched out this program with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, it would not surprise me in the slightest if they go with MJF helping the Hurt Syndicate win before he eventually screws them over. Now, the only way that this feud is going to work between the Hurt Syndicate and MJF is if MJF royally screws the Hurt Syndicate, if he convinces them that he is on their side before he turns on them. And that is a very similar throwback to what MJF did with Adam Cole, or at least where that should have went had they not pivoted and allowed Adam Cole to become the devil and turn on MJF. I think it would have worked a lot better, and it would have been better for the character of MJF if he turned on Adam Cole that way. And then now we understand that that is probably what he will do with the Hurt Syndicate. However, as far as the match between the Sons of Texas and the Hurt Syndicate, my money's on the Hurt Syndicate. Jamie Hayter and Mercedes Moné will be in the finals of the Owen Hart Foundational Cup tournament. Athena, a couple of months back, I assumed that we would see Athena against Mercedes Moné. They already had their match on Dynamite in one of the rounds of the Owen Hart Cup tournament for the women's side, and Athena lost, and we have not seen Athena on AEW television since then. I thought we would for sure see Athena return. She has not. I would keep your eyes on that, because I do believe that she will return, and I do believe that she will get that rematch with Mercedes Moné, where it would be a title versus title match or something that would happen at All In. I really don't see Mercedes Moné against Toni Storm at All In. However, it would not surprise me if they went that route. One of the reasons why is because Mercedes Moné is the AEW TBS champion, while Timeless Toni Storm is the AEW World Women's Champion. And I don't know if you want those two divisions to intersect at your biggest event of the year. So Tony can always book a upset victory or a victory by distraction and have Mercedes Moné lose her TBS championship. He can always combine the TBS championship with the women's championship. That wouldn't surprise me either, considering the amount of championships that have been floating around on AEW. It wouldn't hurt them in the slightest. However, I think that they have been building up Jamie Hayter in a real way. I like the momentum. I like that they're kind of reinventing her, if you will. And I would like to see that kind of come to fruition a little bit more. So I think I'm probably going to go with Jamie Hayter in this regard, and with possible distraction interference from Athena. So that's where I'm at there. But I also keep your eyes on Megan Bayne. Keep your eyes on, I think that's who has been feuding with Jamie Hayter. Anyways, I lost who was feuding with Jamie Hayter. I think it's just Mercedes Moné for now, but I would keep your eyes on a lot of interference in this match. Potential interference is at play in this match. I'm going against popular consensus here. I am going to go with Mercedes Moné. Hangman Adam Page will battle Will Ospreay in the Owen Hart Cup finals of the men's division. Now, Darby Allin has just finished climbing Mount Everest. However, he is not back in AEW, nor was he able to compete in the Owen Hart Cup. And the winner of this match will go on to All In to face the champion. As much as I would like to see Hangman Adam Page make it that far and make it to All In, I do believe the Bucks are probably going to be involved in this at some point. And I know I hate this because it's like every match I can see interference, and I don't know if that's the way that Tony Khan is going to book it. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but that's what I see. And so that's, I know it seems like every match, dude, you're going to call interference, you're going to say there's interference, and I understand where that can be a little much, but you got to hear me out. I believe eventually, if not at All In, at one of the next big AEW events in between this time and All In, you're going to see Hangman Page team with Swerve Strickland against the Bucks. I just believe that is truly going to happen. So I would say that because of that, I believe it is time to pull the trigger with Will Ospreay. I do believe at All In, you should crown Will Ospreay the AEW World Champion. He had a banger of a match with Darby Allin on AEW Dynamite. One of my favorite matches of AEW Dynamites in the history. It was fast-paced. The crowd was into it. And I believe you can revisit that. And so because of that, I believe that we get Will Ospreay against Jon Moxley at All In. And I believe that we get a win by Will Ospreay, potentially with some interference from the Bucks. Now, I don't know that for sure, but I'm just saying, man, I wouldn't drop the ball on giving Will Ospreay an opportunity to end the biggest AEW show of the year with Will Ospreay as the world champion. So that's just my opinion. And I haven't seen this listed, but I do know that it is going to be an Anarchy in the Arena match at Double or Nothing, where it's Team Swerve against the team of the Death Riders. I don't know if they have listed the opponents or the participants yet. I do know that I think there was a rumor going around that we were going to see Swerve, Joe, Hobbs, Shibata, Kenny Omega, and Willow Nightingale against Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, the Young Bucks, and Marina. However, that wouldn't include Gabe Kidd. So I would probably omit maybe like who do you get rid of here in this regard? So maybe Moxley, Claudio, Wheeler Yuta, Gabe, Young Bucks, and Marina, and Swerve, Joe, Hook, Hobbs, Or instead of Hook, maybe like Eddie Kingston can show up. I do believe that I think Gabe Kidd was inserted into this Anarchy in Arena scenario. Whether or not he shows up and actually wrestles is up in the air, but I do believe he will be a part of it in some fashion. I believe he was inserted because I believe we're getting to the eventual return of Eddie Kingston, a long overdue return that makes a whole lot of sense being tied with Jon Moxley here. So that is where I do feel like we get to at the Anarchy in Arena. Whether or not that Eddie Kingston shows up to be a part of the match or whether he shows up to make his triumphant return and brawls with Gabe Kidd, I do feel like that's where we're getting at. I think it would be interesting if they include the women because, I mean, for them to brawl all over the arena, I guess would sort of make sense, but you would want to keep the men away from having to be involved with the women. I thought they did a good job in the mixed tag between Swerve and Willow and Jon Moxley and Marina. They did an interesting job of making that making their interactions very unique. You know, I think they did a good job with that, in my opinion. So I do think that they can make that work. If they were to include them, that would just expand the amount of participants that are going to be available in this sort of a match. I would keep your eyes on Hangman losing and then finding his way to get involved in this match to go after the Bucks as well. And again, yes, I'm talking about interference. I really hope they don't have this much interference as I am predicting on my side as a wrestling old head. I really hope that they keep that kind of interference to a minimum, but you got to understand the participants that are kind of circling around these feuds and these match ideas. It is sort of something that you can kind of see happening, although simplistic and predictable, it is a possibility. So that's why I mentioned it. However, as far as who's going to come out the winner in this Anarchy in the Arena match, I do believe in order to keep the momentum on the Death Riders going into All In, that the Death Riders would be the ones that win. And unfortunately, that would be another event where the Death Riders close out the event as victors. But with the Mad King potentially returning, I do believe that it's a possibility that if Eddie Kingston returns, that Team Swerve would win. So, given that, I'm gonna go with the Death Riders, and then I'm gonna go with the Mad King Eddie Kingston returning as well. So I'm going to go against the grain completely. I'm going to say we do get an Eddie Kingston return, but I'm going to say that the Death Riders get the win. Not ending the show with them victorious. However, I do believe it will be some sort of a situation where the Team Swerve stands strong even in defeat. But that's my thoughts. You guys let me know what you think is going to happen at AEW Double or Nothing 2025. And also let me know who you feel is going to debut or return and what new matches could potentially be added from there. This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, you guys. Hit the thumbs up and the notification bell because you never know when I'm popping out of the portal to drop you with some hotness. Stay tuned for more.